there'd really be nothing for Veritas to do in response to that, and a good Zerg will probably be doing that against you. A good Zerg will be expanding all over the map, getting up a massive economy, and then just throwing wave after wave of forces at you, making sure there's no reprieve from them. But right now, Veritas is just kind of sitting idly by here. Yeah, he's got, what is it, 3-2 upgrades, so that's certainly fine. He should be upgrading the other one because he has so much money in the bank. But more importantly, an actual army would be nice over here. What's he actually looking at? Warping in some units down here, DTs and stalkers. But it's still not that great because, yeah, you took down this base already, and you know that you took down this base. So what's the point of putting in all these units? 2 DTs would have been fine. The stalkers are a little useless over here. They'd be better off complementing this army. Maybe even trying to warp in at one of the auxiliary bases and then just going for a different approach. If he knows that he's quarantined over here, why not just go around that, move around the contain? Did something happen back there? Taking a little bit long to load. Guess not. I'll just speed this up a little bit. Yeah, this is when he's still warping in units. I have no idea what our Zerg player is doing. This is just a worse example. He did take it out in this hive, I think. I don't remember when this was. I think it was actually a little bit ago. Maybe not. 26. Maybe around here. We're going quadruple faster. Yeah, not with those stalkers, and then he warps in some units over here, and this does a pretty solid job, so yeah, he's going to be able to take this out. Come on. Come on. So yeah, this is a good idea, going for these buildings where you know that there are exploits like this. And yeah, sure, it's a great idea, but just keep in mind that these aren't always going to work. Most of the time they won't work. There we go, DT is finally going to finish that off, and there we go. So that's going to deprive them a lot of tech, and it's kind of hard to say exactly what you should properly do without actually playing it yourself, so I can't really say what the correct instance of this would be, because most Zerg players that I'm going to be playing against will not be doing this, will not have their main so exposed like this. And he's doing a pretty good job over here just keeping up those guys, and now he's going to move out with his actual army and probably, yeah, and win the game over here. But, I mean, just look at all those resources that are so unspent, that are just sitting there doing nothing, and most importantly, the supply count of both players. So, our Zerg player's got 5,200, about 5,300 in the bank, and almost 2,000 minerals, and he's at 31 supply. So, Veritas is in a much better situation, but that's still a lot of money in the bank that could be used to almost maximize his army, almost get 200. So let's see, stuff that I didn't like overall in this match. Going for this forge super early on, I mentioned this in the other game, it cripples your economy really early, so this is just time that you haven't spent building up your core, and he doesn't use it for a while. There's plenty of time to build it after that, but you want to get your pro production maximized. He did a much better job this game than the last in that regard. And then, what else? So, most of the time you're not going to be able to put up all this tech. You're going to have to choose one path and go with it. And that should be based on what you scout out. So, scouting is another area where Veritas has sorely lacked. So, we should definitely be looking to improve that. What's the average APM been? Well, that's pretty good. I mean, that's okay. It's not incredible, but you don't really need to be incredible at this point. But you should be focusing this a little bit better, yeah. Don't just have moments when you have 90 APM and then drop to 0. or like 12. You want to be having a constant APM, and then maybe having it increased a bit when you're doing attacks and stuff like that. The army composition was actually pretty solid, but again, you should be going for this based off what your opponent is going for. So he knew not too much about his opponent's army the entire game, and building your army should be kind of a reaction to the scouting. It shouldn't just be building an army that you think is solid, in general, because sometimes there are just unbeatable armies, such as, well, armies that are solid in every matchup, such as Terran Mech. And that's still kind of arguable. Let's see. He could be... Well, I would have liked to see a lot more mid-game aggression. So, I think there were 2 attacks in total that Veritas actually did. I mean, not including these little backdoor DT warp-ins and stuff like that, but 2 actual attacks with the army that probably would have been better if they were just done. So if he had moved out here, he would have done okay. Well, maybe not, but he would have been okay if he had another 10 zealots. He might not have won, but he would have at least taken down a majority of his opponent's army. And when you're on a leading amount of bases, that's a pretty good opportunity. It means that they won't be able to attack you nearly as efficiently. So, what else? Building placements were nice. Purple protection was okay. Forge was bad. Army was okay. Going for these bases over here, why they're bad? So, you want to take this base at your natural expansion. First off, the name kind of gives you a clue that this is good. A natural expansion, yes, it's natural for you to take this. So they're easier to defend. You can transfer probes. You can create a better defense. Well, you can create a more solid defense, because all you have to do is defend your natural, because the placement of your natural on most maps will also defend your main, the exception being Desert Oasis. And aside from that, everything seems okay. Upgrades were good. He took a while to get that thermal lance, but he eventually got it done. That is something that you want to prioritize. The gases being fully saturated over here is also a priority. I don't know why he took off. Oh, no, they were killed. The probes there were killed. You generally don't want to be taking bases this far away from home so early. Remember that he got these bases around, 10 minutes, maybe even earlier. So that's something to keep in mind. Go for your natural first and foremost. Unless you are 100% sure that you have base control or map control, then you can go for these kind of bases, although going for the gold is fine as well if you have map control. But in general, your natural is just better to take. Getting up an army, so just macroing a lot better. That's a ton of money in the bank. It's kind of excusable this late into the game, but you also want to be close to max. You don't want to be at 120, you want to be at least 180-ish. And, the higher the better, so certainly that's something to keep in mind. These bases aren't nearly as saturated as I would like. Well, this base is terrible, but still, double these numbers and then it'd be very nice. I think that's just about it. So I hope you found that helpful. And I'm using a new program, by the way, to record this. So yeah, I hope that you like it. And if there's anything wrong with it, feel free to tell me. Yeah, that's it. So I will see you later. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found that helpful if you are a silver level Protoss.